Hey everybody, final thoughts time for Tramways, which is an excellent little game. At the heart of it, where the real fun comes from is every round you've got a hand of cards. And there's a slight deck building element too, because over the course of the game your deck gets bigger and bigger and you never know exactly what cards you're going to pull. And you're trying to pick the cards that are going to best not supplement what you can do, but kind of fill in the blanks for what you can't do and what you're planning on doing in the future. But every round, the joy of the decision making in this game comes from the fact that I've got all these cards, and this round I get to do 3 actions plus a bunch of administrative actions that will set me up for the next round. How am I going to split these cards up between all those needs? I need these cards for money if it's an important auction this round. If it's not, well, okay, I don't need the money on these cards, although I'd like to keep them at the end of the round so I can use them during admin so I have more money for the following round, because maybe the next round is going to be an important auction. Or maybe next round, once a new person comes out on the board that both of us care about, I want to make sure I win that auction so that I can deliver that person and score points. But while I'm trying to balance my needs for money, I'm also balancing my needs for all the other actions on these cards, like getting more workers if I plan on laying more track, and upgrading buildings, upgrading links, building buildings. And the fact that as well, I could do an action and spend 3 cards and take no stress, but if I need these cards during admin to get what I need for the following turn, maybe I'll take some stress to activate multiple icons on a given card, knowing full well that that stress is going to kill me. But you know what? If my opponents have already stressed themselves out, I can afford to stress out myself too. And if I can still make time by the end of the game to send some people home and get them to the residence by the end of the game, and you better believe by the end of the game, getting deliveries to those residential areas becomes very hotly contested also, because by the end of the game there aren't going to be very many passengers left on the board, and it's a race every round to get to them and get them where they're going so you can score points. The game works really, really well. The hand management stuff is phenomenal. All these cards having multiple uses, anywhere from 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uses, and having to figure out how you're going to mix them up, bearing in mind what you need to do now, what you need to do later, and what you need to do in the next turn is great. I love how much flexibility there is. Every time you play, you're going to get an interesting little puzzle of a map with different strengths and weaknesses. You're going to have a unique starting hand of cards every time you play, unlike most deck builders where you always start with the exact same deck. I love the fact that everybody starts with a unique deck, so they have different strengths and weaknesses. And it just works. Even the auction is really interesting. That first bid you have to make, because of the way that auction bidding is cumulative. If you bid 5 and then want to raise to 7, that's $12. That's crazy expensive. So you better make sure that first bid is your last bid, because if you get outbid on that, So incredibly tense and exciting auctions, even for only 2 players. Now that's not always going to be the case. Like I said, sometimes you're in a situation where, and particularly, Jen and I found when we played this with a bigger map, depending on the layout and how things come out, we did have one game where we were playing a 2x2 instead of a 1x3 like this, and really I was able to stay on my half of the world and Jen was able to stay on her half, and every round we just kind of traded first back and forth, because neither of us wanted to win in the auction, because neither of us wanted to take the stress, because we weren't racing for people, because we both had our own little fiefdom. But you know what? Even that game was fun, because it wasn't about the race to get communal resources. It was about the race to leverage the resources we had. And the hand management in this game is always phenomenal. And that game that we played was radically different than the game I just demoed for you right now. So there's a ton of flexibility, a ton of replayability, a ton of variability, and really rock solid mechanisms here in Tramway. Very, very impressed. Really a lot of clever stuff in here. And that, folks, is Tramways. Now, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, let me know. Apologies for any mistakes I made. As always, watch with annotations turned on, because Paula will set right what I once did wrong. Remember, you can hit the eye up in the top right corner of the screen to go check the game out on Kickstarter if it's interesting. You can see what the final product will look like and all of that. But otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.